Hello friends, welcome back into a new video. I'm Divik and this is something a little different. Now, I have been doing a lot of reactions on the channel as of late, and I figured, what the heck, let's bring them back, but let's go back to the roots as it were, because I used to react to FNAF related content all the time. Um, and then I got into the more paleo side of things because, it was dinosaur related. And, I do art content for the most part. So I figured, what the heck, let's kind of lean in. So now we have this video here. Now, what's interesting about this is that Unwithered Truth here has actually just released a FNAF 2 reboot trailer. I watched it already. I love it. But I wanted to give some attention to this video. Now, I remember watching it, but I don't remember all of its contents. And I remember wanting to do a reaction to it, but I got so excited for the prospect of a FNAF 1 reboot, as it were, that kind of I'm guessing from the title, I don't recall all of it, but I'm guessing from the title here it's a FNAF 1 reboot with a benefit of hindsight, if I'm wagering it to guess what that means. So, what if the FNAF timeline was planned from the start? I'm guessing that's what that means. Again, I don't recall. I remember watching a little bit of this. I don't recall all of it, but I think it would be really fun to check it out. So let's pause. So obviously, if there's anything like too inappropriate, I will of course block it out or anything like that. But Unwithered Truth, up and coming content creator. I've been following them for quite some time. I'm aware this one is 5 months late, but I'm honestly kind of a little bit overwhelmed with the current ARC projects, so I'm giving myself a little bit of a break to work on some other stuff. So let's watch some cool content and see what do. So of course, link for this video will be in the description below, and of course, again, anything that's too like much, I will of course cut the audio, and then we'll go from there. But from this point, let's go ahead and get this thing going in 3, 2, and 1. Begin. Come on, Unwithered Truth, what do you got for us? I'm gonna actually turn down the game sound or the video sound just a little bit more, because if I learned anything, it's that.
I recently put up a
Oh,
poll on
hello.
my community
What's up,
text
Unwithered?
section where I asked if you guys thought that it would be a good idea for the original FNAF games,
Okay.
i.e. FNAF 1 to Ultimate Custom Night,
Mm-hmm.
to be remade as to fit the newer lore. The results
Okay.
of this poll were mixed, with over 70% of people saying yes, this should be done, but the 30% that said no being the more vocal as to why they think
I actually remember.
ruin the franchise.
I remember actually voting on this poll. It just popped up on my feed one day, and I had no idea who Unwithered Truth was at that time. And I remember saying, you know what, I wouldn't mind seeing that, because the FNAF lore is not all encompassing. However you say that word, it doesn't cover everything as well as it should. There's a lot of reaching, I'll say, and there's too much mystery that doesn't make a lot of sense. Now, Scott Cawthon has this idea of literally hinting at the story rather than just outright telling it, which leads to a lot of debate and argument and so on and so forth. So I think that an idea of this idea works for making the series make sense, and from what we understand for the most part. Now, again, I could talk all day on how confusing and weird the FNAF uh, story is, and it is. But something like this is definitely up my alley, especially when it comes to simplifying all of it. Does that make sense? Okay, let's continue.
Franchise in the comments. I'm honestly split about the idea myself, as reboots
Fair.
and remakes can invite a lot of their own problems when dealing with
This
a
is true.
franchise like FNAF.
Absolutely.
That's why
Absolutely.
today
Like
I
I
thought
was
it
just
would be
saying.
more fun to create what I think would be a best case scenario for a reboot of the entire franchise. Or at
Okay.
least a reboot of the very first game, to see what I think FNAF
Okay,
1
yeah,
could
fair.
have looked like were the story planned out from the very beginning. Depending on how this video
Right.
performs, I might just create
Because there's a lot of misconception about whether or not Scott had everything planned. He didn't. Like, he straight up didn't. He thought the first FNAF game was going to be a one and done, and it was going to be another flop, as you might know with Scott's history of games. But FNAF 1 was successful. Then the second one came out, third one, fourth, so on and so forth. So, that works.
More like this, but for now, I think it's best to look back at where the series started and
I think
try
it's
to
safe to say that
reshuffle
they
FNAF
went
1
well since
to
there's
be
going to be a
more
part 2
narrative
soon.
experience, taking the best of what came before and trying to leave out all of the weird contradictory material.
Thank you.
The title
Please.
of my reboot will be Five Nights at Freddy's Anniversary.
Ooh, I like that. Oi. Oh my gosh. that transition scared me. Okay, part 1, Help Wanted.
My reboot would start
I like that.
exactly where the first game did. A newspaper article advertising the night guard shift for Freddy Fazbear's Pizza. Posted in the local newspaper, the Utah Province Daily Herald, is the following ad, published the 6th of November, 1993.
Saturday,
As you can see,
oops.
not much here has changed from the original newspaper, aside from making the phone number to be the same from the security breach Fredbear posters.
Oh,
and updating the
okay.
wage.
From Security
Again,
Breach.
I'm not doing this to fit with Security Breach, but just to leave fun Easter eggs from this previous
That's
version
fair.
of the FNAF
No,
universe.
that makes
Nothing
complete
from
sense.
any of the games is applicable to this new reboot's lore.
Thank
In
you.
my ideal scenario, I would also make that abundantly clear in community posts and advertising for the game before it released. The
Yeah,
reason
please.
I decided to firmly set this game in 1993 rather than in
Okay.
1999 or 1998 or 92 or any of the other proposed dates for the current version of FNAF 1 is mainly as a way to pay homage to Game Theory and their first FNAF video, which
I like that. But leaving a wink and a nod to Pat is very cool. But also, I'm loving how you're letting people know from the get-go that, hey, this is a new thing. This has nothing to do with the other stuff. I like that a lot. Okay, continue.
started the whole theorizing trend in the first place.
Yes.
However, there is a further reason, but we'll
Oh.
get back to that later. In the original game, the surrounding blurred out text was just some filler stuff that Scott put in for fun.
Right,
but
blah, blah,
I
blah,
think
blah,
this
blah.
is a great opportunity to further hint at other
Ooh.
things going on in the FNAF world at this time. I think an
Oh.
advertisement for Stan's budget tech would be fitting, as well
Ah.
as an article about the unknown whereabouts of a Daily Herald reporter, Bronwyn Light, a character
Hello?
featured in the week before, who disappeared a little over a week ago. Again, I'm not saying the week before is canon, but I just like the idea of adapting some of that story into this fresh universe.
No, I like
the player
that.
is prompted to continue, but instead of being brought straight to night 1, the newspaper is pulled away from the camera. We didn't realize it, but we're actually already looking through the POV of our protagonist. We sit staring at an old boxy
I want to play
TV
this game
in a
already.
garishly decorated living room torn straight out of the
Whoa, 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 whoa. Pause. I'm noticing Easter eggs straight away. First of all, this lamp, that clock, and that is what looks like a withered golden Freddy plush along with Circus Baby. I'm noticing this straight away, and I'm in love with the details already. Oh, and plus, small detail. I'm not an animator or anything. I am an artist, but I am enjoying the heck out of the lighting and the reflection right here, and also the light up here, and then the shadows all on this side, and and then the hallway here with the dim light. That's beautiful. I love that. The rendering on this is really, really good. Just small sidebar.
We grab a TV remote and can click through the TV channels using our
Oh.
keyboard or controller.
Okay. Circus Baby. Sister location reference. I like that. Oh, so this place is open at the time of this game. Okay.
A clock in the corner of the room will tick to 11 p.m. in 60 seconds, which will end these in-between night sections, or the player can always manually skip ahead with the button. on the screen.
Okay, very nice.
At the
I
end
like
of the
that.
game, all the stuff you watched on the TV will be available through an extras page on the main menu for ease of
I didn't
viewers
expect that.
wanting to review. Anyway, nothing too crazy important on this first pre-night section beyond some Easter eggs, so
Okay,
let's
nice.
jump into night 1. 11 p.m. on November 6th ticks over to November 8th.
Okay, so we're knowing exact dates here. Nice.
Before I go into the night-to-night gameplay, I think it's important that I go over exactly what this revamped pizzeria would look like.
All right,
And
let's
I'm
see.
going to be drawing inspiration from all different versions of this building from over the years. Reddit user RDTFGS made this fantastic layout based on FNAF 1, Help Wanted, and the Into the Pit book.
Okay.
Despite those pieces of media not being a part of my new canon,
didn't expect that.
honestly love this layout. It just feels like exactly what I'm going for with this sort of revamped
Yeah,
FNAF 1
I like
pizzeria.
it. Also, let's pause here. Okay, so we have the safe room, of course, restrooms right here, a kitchen, east and west hallway. The office is down here yonder. We have the main entrance right here. I don't know. I'm not sure how I feel about a supply closet being right there, but I do like the idea of an arcade being near Pirates Cove. But then again, main dining hall being right here in the middle, brilliant. Party rooms over here. I would see if applicable, I would put a party room up here personally, and you leave the safe room where it's at, of course. Restroom, hallway, and then the bathroom right here, kitchen, decent sized kitchen. I would maybe make the kitchen even bigger, but it makes sense for the first location, which was meant to be much smaller. But
All
I do
credit
like
goes
the
to them
layout
for this
here. That's
really
very
great
nice.
layout, which I'll use as a base. The only thing about this layout that I don't really understand is this double entryway, so I reckon I'll just lose that for my version.
You know what?
First
Yeah.
thing we're going to add
Oh,
here
ooh,
is
even
the
better.
ball pit from all the different Into the Pit
Okay,
versions,
ball pit,
as
nice.
It's a standout piece of modern
It
FNAF
is, it is.
iconography, even making its way into the movie's pizzeria. So
That's
we'll
true, it
place
did.
in the back right corner of the room, as is described in the original book.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to shorten the hallways that lead to the security office as well.
Okay.
As the original FNAF 1 pizzeria has a lot of this weird dead space, which is not really used. This new
That's
layout
true, yeah, it
already
doesn't.
goes a long way to fixing some of those problems, but
Yeah,
I'm just going to continue to condense down the space because I think it'll just
Also, I
make
turned off the
for
subtitles so
a
we can see
more
all of the layout.
realistic experience. Because everyone knows that in a game with ghosts hunting animal animatronic robots, the most important thing is realism. To use up some more of the empty space, I'm going to add a manager's office, as there seems to not be one in the original layout.
Oh, where are you putting it?
One is mentioned in both Into the Pit and the Silver Eyes. In general, it just makes sense to have one, so what I'll do is shorten the space between the bathrooms and put it in next to the kitchen. I'm also going to lose this awkward bend around the backstage and just make it so backstage is behind the stage. Keeping with that, I'm going to also move the safe room from next to the restrooms to beside the backstage. The safe room serves the same purpose in my universe as it did in the original.
That's
so
smart.
I thought it would make more sense to be placed out of the way so employees could actually move away from customers rather than having to pass through to the bathrooms.
That makes
sense.
sense.
As a storage room, it makes more sense to be next to parts and service anyway, so equipment doesn't have to be lugged across the restaurant. I'm going to also just reduce this small space here between the arcade and Pirates Cove, just because I think it makes more sense to kind of loop around in this U-shape.
Yeah,
so
you know what,
in terms of rooms, that's all I think we need to add or change from the old layout. So now we have to talk about cameras.
Okay, so I jumped the gun a little bit, sorry. But I do love this. This is fantastic. Like, this is really cool. And also, I'm going to tell you guys right now, this is definitely going to be a part 1 and 2. Because I'm looking at my face cam footage first to how far we are in the video. There's definitely going to be a part 2. That's for sure. Maybe a part 3. I don't know. We'll see. See how far we get, because I keep pausing and whatnot. But all right. But yeah, no. Unwithered Truth has a very nice little layout here that works. This works. This is amazing. Party room on both sides makes sense. Main dining hall right here in the middle makes sense. Ball pit right there. Perfect. The restrooms being closer to each other also makes sense, and also is true for traditional like restaurant areas. You know, the women's and men's restrooms are usually really close to each other, sometimes on opposite sides. So that makes sense. You know, I do like the addition of a ball pit, and then it's right next to the manager's office. Which, oh man, come out of your office and get a bunch of plastic balls thrown at you. Sweet. But jokes aside, this looks good.
Feeling of FNAF 1's cams, so as little
Okay, so
visibility as
we're on about the
possible
cameras.
is key. Here are all the camera placements I was imagining, and while I won't go through them one by one, the safe room will remain off camera beside the backstage cam.
Of
We'll
course.
also add 3 new cameras, one for the arcade, one for the prize counter, and one for the manager's office. Great, so now we have our building layout and our camera
Hey,
system.
ho,
Aesthetically for the building, I
hi.
don't want the reboot to stray too far from the original series, as I find reboots or fan games often try to completely redefine every aspect of the franchise.
Yeah, that's kind of...
Obviously, it makes sense to want to put your own spin on things.
See, okay, so before he continues, I do agree with that statement. Now, for what he said so far, I agree here. It does feel like a lot of these fan games that I've seen, that I've watched, like Fusion, Dawko, 8-Bit Ryan, I've seen these guys play. They like to remake the first game, but then completely ignore the other series. I've seen maybe 2 or 3 fan games on sister location, and that one is prime real estate for some really fun games. But the fact that there's hardly any is pretty criminal if you ask me. But let's continue.
But for me, FNAF 1 is so classic that making things too different isn't worth it. Some things I'll add, though, are old toy animatronic parts in the backstage area, along with really old withered costume parts. Because yes, in my universe, the unwithered are undeniably canon. I mean, are you really surprised? I think some retro posters from 1985 peeling away on the walls or hidden behind arcade cabinets could be some nice touches. Maybe a few Fredbear's Family Diners posters into the Pit game style could fit somewhere as well.
Bonnie?
So that's our pizzeria.
You're
but
haunting.
What about the night-to-night gameplay?
All right, let's see.
With this being the first game in the Reboot series, I think sticking as closely to FNAF 1's simple game loop is the way to go. The usual loop of checking the cameras and closing the doors if the animatronics make it to outside the office is the same. Foxy's Pirate Cove mechanic is a little different though, as I thought it would be cool to introduce his light sensitivity from the other games into this one.
Makes sense.
To FNAF 2, the cameras are all equipped with their own spotlights, and to keep Foxy in his cove, you have to flash him with the lights to make him recoil behind his curtain. To stop this from being a FNAF 2 puppet music box situation where the player just camps the Pirate Cove cams, we'll make it so that Foxy actually moves faster the longer the cameras are on his stage. That way you're only supposed to check his cameras to flash him, but not to stay on it or he'll just come right back in.
Oi! Ha! That actually got me pretty good, wow.
The animatronics stay mostly the same. Bonnie down the left hall, Chica down the right hall, but Freddy, while his gameplay is the same, has some interesting behavior. Every now and then, we can hear Freddy's music box echoing through the halls of the pizzeria. If we check the cams and locate Freddy while his music box is playing, we'll see that he is not facing the cameras as usual, but instead facing toward open ventilation shafts that'll come into play later.
Really? Oi, hi. You feel very Freddy. Extra duties.
So that's the regular loop, but I think fleshing it out with some extras could help this game to feel like a true revitalization of the series. I don't want to add too many extra mechanics, as I feel like we're robbing ourselves of the opportunity to expand the gameplay in following games, but the week before gave me some inspiration for extra tasks we might have.
The week before is actually really good.
Security guard at Freddy's. In the week before, Ralph has to clean up messes, change out light bulbs, and while I don't think there should be too many of these extra tasks for this game, giving the player optional challenges for extra points and lore secrets could be a really fun idea. Some of these extra challenges could even help the player out with their regular check the cameras, close the doors gameplay. For example, a simple task could be to switch out a light bulb in the restrooms, just like in the week before.
Oh, nice.
The player is shown on the map where their next task lies, and so they have to make sure there's no animatronics nearby before heading there. The player can then click a button on the screen and make their way to that room. How, you might ask? Well, the guard stands up from his chair, turns around, and enters the vents.
Hello?
Well, in the vents, you stop every now and then to take a turn. There are directions on screen to inform you which way the vent will lead you, but there's nothing to stop you from taking a different path. We'll get back to that later.
Whoa. Hello?
All of your tasks throughout the week would have a noise meter, which draws animatronics to them. If the player gets caught, they're dead. But if they succeed, they return to the office with no problem.
Right. Oh, hello, Bonnie. Hello, Bonnie.
I think it's better if the animatronics can't fit in these vents, as otherwise that's a whole other problem to deal with, and it's probably too much to add for the very first game
Yeah,
in the
I
series.
agree.
Like I was saying, these should have a positive effect for the player
I
on
agree.
gameplay. So for our light bulb example, any animatronic that ends up in the restrooms will now spend
I agree.
more time in that area searching the lit up bathroom, meaning they are less likely to come and kill the player. I think these extra mini tasks would add a lot to the game, and they'd be randomized, so no two playthroughs would be the same. It'd also give the player an opportunity to see different parts of the pizzeria up close, rather than being stuck in the office the entire time. In terms of other...
That's actually brilliant. No, that works. That works very, very well. For a plethora of reasons, that works very, very well. Now, do I think that it's... Actually, too early to say, but like the idea of changing a light bulb, and going to a different area just to do different things, and also having safety in the vents, brilliant. I think that's really, really good. And I think we're gonna let one more section play out before we end off this first part, because I'm looking at the time here. We're definitely gonna have a part 2 for this. So let's go ahead and finish this up.
You can see that we've added an arcade to the map, so we've got to add some 8-bit minigames, but we'll talk a bit more about those in detail later on in the upcoming lore section of the video.
The lore, the spicy.
Something much more substantial I'd like to change with this game is Night 5.
Night 5?
I'm taking heavy inspiration from FNAF 4 here, but something I think was really interesting about that game was the choice to switch from the regular animatronics to Nightmare Fredbear on Night 5.
Oh yeah, true.
By stealing that idea, Night 5 will have the player go up against the one and only Golden Freddy, who will be rocking his withered Fredbear look.
Of course.
Now, I'm all for the idea of Golden Freddy taking the form of his bandmates in the original series, but I
Yeah.
think that was more of a response to the fact that Scott didn't plan out the series from the start, so he needed to explain why Golden Freddy looked different in the first game, despite there being no reason for the company to repair a suit that they're not using. However,
right, exactly. That makes no sense.
Any of that here. So in my reboot, Fredbear looks the same as he did all those years ago.
Makes complete sense, honestly. I'll take it.
There is a reason that Golden Freddy takes over on Night 5, but again, I'll go into that later in the lore part of the video. I imagine that on Night 5, everything starts up as normal, but we notice that by 1 a.m., none of the band have even moved yet. Then, suddenly, the power in the building cuts out. The cameras go down, and we're left in the dark. When the power comes back on, the stage is empty and Pirate's Cove is open. All of the animatronics have disappeared. Nowhere to be seen.
Well, that's kind of cool.
Switching to the backroom camera.
Yeah, getting to see the inside of Pirate's Cove, that's really nice.
Shows that the camera has been knocked down from its original resting place and is now lying on the floor.
Hello? Oh, the safe room, perhaps? Whoa. Oh, that's
Freddy
sick.
is now your main threat and will take the role of the other 4 animatronics. If he appears in Pirate's Cove, flashing him away will make him return to his regular pathing, otherwise it's a game over. Surviving Golden Freddy is a difficult task, but if we do survive, well, we'll talk about that later. So that's Night 5, but I'm going to do away with Night 6 entirely. I think as cool as it is to have an extra night, the series is called Five Nights at Freddy's, so the custom night will act as the extra night and be a non-canon challenge and not have a night number. The custom night will provide the same options as usual: animatronic difficulty settings, any challenges like low power or longer nights, stuff like that. There will also be the option to activate Golden Freddy, who will take on the AI of the most difficult animatronic you have set and take over at 4 a.m. FNAF 4 style.
Oh, wow.
So that's our gameplay, nights 1 to 5, along with any custom night shenanigans a player might get up to. But what does it all mean? What is the real story?
Wait, top left. Oh, that's right. I think there's a whole like mystery attached to this thing. I'm pretty sure, but we're not going to get into that now. Now we are 14 minutes, about 15 minutes into a 30-minute video. I think this is a good place to stop. Hold Hold on, hold on.
Story
Let's
behind
finish this
Five
through.
Nights at Freddy's Anniversary. FNAF
Actually,
1.
actually, never mind. We can stop right here. We'll save lore and all that stuff for another time. But looking at all of this, oh Ralph, okay, yeah, no, we can save all of this for another time. But I do like this, a concept of a FNAF game with the benefit of hindsight, which is exactly what this is really cool. Now, Unwithered Truth, this was 5 months ago. I believe that this video came out. Yeah, 5 months ago. But still, super cool. I like this a lot. And with part two coming out very soon, I figured definitely want to watch this before then. But hey, guys, that's going to do it for this one. I hope you did enjoy. If you did, drop a like, subscribe if you're new. Let me know what your thoughts are on this in the comment section below. I very much like it. I think this is really, really cool. And I can't wait to get into part two at some point in the near future. But yeah, that's all for this one. And I'll see you next time. Peace.